there have been some notorious cases across the world, including America, for example, where it has been clear that companies have maliciously edited files, excluded essential data, failed to report serious adverse reactions, and generally misled regulatory agencies. It's innocent to the extent that the companies have been dealing with these drugs for years. They develop them, they like them, they love them, they're their babies, and they really can't see anything wrong in the drug.
And drug companies aren't the only ones who don't like bad news. In North America, the same regulators that approve a drug are the ones who must also act to withdraw it if it's causing harm. And once a drug is off the market, there's no mechanism to investigate what went wrong.
We know more about medicines today when they go on the market than we've ever known before. Then why are we taking drugs off the market? Somebody should ask that question, and the people asking that question shouldn't have a dog in that fight. If an airplane falls, we don't ask the airliner, was their design wrong? We don't even ask the FAA, the Federal Aviation Authority, did they have the wrong standards? We have a National Transportation and Safety Board that's independent of the two, and they can come in and say the airline was wrong, or they can say the standards were wrong. It's an independent look, which has been missing in the drug development arena.
Billions of dollars are spent on research getting drugs to market. Only a fraction of that is currently spent on post-marketing surveillance. That fact, combined with the speed up in drug approvals, has a lot of safety experts very worried.
No. Did Marv talk to you?
Yes, he did.
Ah, good. So you know.
Know what?
That we're applying for your drug to be non-prescription.
But my drug is for the clinically depressed.
You know, Chris, you've invented a marvelous drug, and right now only certain people can have access to it, and we think that everyone should have access to it, like ghetto children. You know, apparently their lives are horrible. Did you read that thing in the Times? But anyway, you want ghetto children to be happy, don't you, Chris?
Well, sure, Don, but
right, of course you do. Now, look, there may be some papers to sign. That's if this thing happens, but of course it might not happen. You know how these things are.
But I really think that...
It was supposed to be fixed. Come on, Chris.
To many outsiders, Vanessa's story looks like an isolated tragedy. Others see it as evidence of a drug safety system in crisis. One that's withdrawing drugs too slowly and getting them onto the market far too fast.
It's just one of 7 major new drugs, okayed since 1993, that have now been withdrawn.
When Seldane is taken along with a drug that blocks its metabolism, it can kill.
Dexfenfluramine, better known as Redux, have disappeared.
Pulled after 3 years on the market, the diabetes drug Resolute.
Besides Propulsid, there's Lotrinex for irritable bowel syndrome, Regulin for diabetes, Durac, painkiller.
In recent years, we've seen rather more withdrawals from the market of relatively new drugs, which clearly should not have been approved, than we did in the past. And I think that bears evidence, is evidence of the fact that the work is being handled too quickly and without sufficient opportunity to check the credibility of the evidence.
Over the last 40 years, Dr. Graham Dukes has worked inside the pharmaceutical industry and as a drug regulator in Europe. He's seen what can happen when a weak regulatory system makes a fatal mistake. In the late 1950s and early 60s, a drug is given to thousands of pregnant women. The ensuing disaster will mark a watershed in drug regulation.
When we had the thalidomide disaster, when children were born without arms and legs because of this sleeping remedy that was destroying the unborn child, people reacted by either introducing new drug laws or tightening up the drug laws. I'm afraid that since we haven't had any really major dramas in the last few years, a lot of smaller ones, people have become lax. They've begun to believe the stories that the industry puts around, that it is such a valuable and worthy partner of the regulatory process. And
over the past decade, we have been gaining ground. And when I say we, I mean ordinary people committed to the welfare of all of humanity. all people irrespective of gender and class and race and religion, all species on the planet. We managed to take the biggest government and one of the largest chemical companies to court on the case of Neem and win a case against them. W.R. Grace and the US government's patent on Neem was revoked by a case we brought along with the Greens of Europe in Parliament and the International Organic Agriculture Movement. We won because we worked together. We have overturned nearly 99% of the basmati patent of Rice Tech. Again, because we worked as a worldwide coalition. Old women in Texas, scientists in India, activists sitting in Vancouver, a little basmati action group. We stopped the third world being viewed as the pirate, and we showed the corporations were the pirate. Look how little it took for Gandhi to work against the salt laws of the British, where the British decided the way they would make their armies and police forces bigger is just tax the salt. And all that Gandhi did was walk to the beach, pick up the salt, and say, nature gives it for free, we need it, we've always made it, we will violate your laws, we will continue to make salt. We've had a similar commitment for the last decade in India that any law that makes it illegal to save seed is a law not worth following. We will violate it because saving seed is a duty to the earth and to future generations. We thought it would really be symbolic. It is more than symbolic. It is becoming a survival option. Farmers who grow their own seeds, save their own seeds, don't buy pesticides, have threefold more incomes than farmers who are locked into the chemical treadmill, depending on Monsanto and Cargill. We have managed to create alternatives that work for people.
Well, I hope you've been enjoying the show. I have so much material on this. Looks like there's going to have to be a part 2 where I address the excuses that some of these drug companies have for creating patent cannabis medicines and patented strains of cannabis. And I'm writing an article about this issue with Dr. Lester Grinspoon, who's written Marijuana, the Forbidden Medicine, along with James Bacalar, and he was also the famous author of Marijuana Reconsidered. Yes, you should check out Dr. Lester Grinspoon. He and I and many others in the cannabis community are concerned about the patenting of cannabis medicines and where that will lead. As well, you saw in that last interview Vandana Shiva, who overturned the patent on Neem with her fellow activist, and she's an author of this book, amongst many others, Biopiracy, The Plunder of Nature and Knowledge. So definitely check her out. She's all over the internet and in the movie The Corporation. And, well, yes, we snuck in some clips from the movie Brain Candy there off the internet. And I used for some of the background music Switch on Bach 2000 by Wendy Carlos. So if you like electronic music, definitely check her out. And until part 2 of this issue on cannabis patents, whenever me and Dr. Grinspoon get that published, and we provide you a link for that, or if we don't get it published, we'll just turn it into a Pot TV show, and you'll see it here on Pot TV. Stay tuned for that. But until then, my name has been David Mamalevine, and you have been watching High Society on Pot TV. High as you get off the net. One click, and you're hooked.